Okay, well, the Eagles' rookie minicamp is drawn to a close, but there's some really intriguing moves, especially with the potential of one of the latest signings. So let's talk about what the newcomer from Down Under brings to the Birds, along with all the other additions, and also why we can expect the Rooks to produce really quickly. Plus, could Philly have the next Jason Kelce at center? But first, let's run it. What's up, guys? Alright, so I'm a little bit late getting this one up, but come on, that's because we were celebrating Thomas getting married, so a huge congrats to the married couple. But while we're talking about ceremonies, Eagles cornerback Eli Ricks actually went back to Alabama to get his degree, so kudos to him as well, and kinda cool that we share the same birthday. Of course, we'll see where Ricks ends up falling on the depth chart given the recent additions, especially in the secondary. But let's just say even light minor drill work from the rookies is awesome to see, as the Eagles have been hosting their rookie minicamp with a chance to get the first up-close look at all the new guys, as well as several intriguing undrafted free agents. And sure, it's not like they're getting super involved with a playbook or anything creative like that, yet just the fact that we got to see new coordinators like Kellen Moore and even Vic Fangio lurking in the background on some drills was without a doubt refreshing to see. I'd also say the same thing for new DB's coach Christian Parker, as the coach was putting players through drills and getting a chance to work more with the first-round steal in Quinyon Mitchell. By the way, I'll say it again, even though minicamp isn't something that significantly moves the needle or not a lot of that creativity, Q has apparently, based on reports, been turning heads and making waves. Apparently even shocking the Inquirer's Jeff McClain with how long he is, and after getting a chance to see him in person. Don't ask, I'm just reading dude's tweets, so I don't even know. Anyway, let's just move on. One thing that is clear, especially after hearing from Quinyon's college DB coach, is that bro's got an unmatched work ethic.
He wants to be the very, very best, and he works for that. So, not being the first defensive player picked, he feels like there's a chip on his shoulder. There's a level of disrespect at the combine. He was pissed because he said he planned on running a dang 4.28, 4.29 and breaking the combine record. That's his expectation of himself. So, he pushes himself hard and he trains hard. So he's not just talking, licorice like some kids. So, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but not working for it. No, he works.
We've said it before, but it never gets old seeing or hearing about a guy with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. Plus the fact that Quinyon's player comp has just about always been Darius Slay, and how he has a knack for drafting the next succession candidate, I'd say it's at least headed in the right direction.
I want you to live next door to Slay. I want you to sleep next to Slay.
I know, I might move in with him, real talk. I'm finna test him now.
Sleep next to Slay, that's your guy.
Okay, this actually works out perfectly. Sure, maybe not exactly living with him. However, we think about all these other examples of rooks getting to learn from veterans like Kelce and Cam Jurgens, Fletch and Jalen Carter, all the other rookies who can be able to learn from behind someone rather than saying, hey, this person did that, show them. And I'm a visual learner. Lots of people are visual learners. It makes a ton of sense. And also, apparently, Quinyon's up for at least moving in or learning a lot from Slay, saying he's just waiting on a response from him. I mean, so far, the rooks ace just about everything that's been thrown his way, except, well, yeah, I mean, his drawing skills and ability to come up with the Eagles logo off the top of his head is pretty terrible. Okay, regardless though, Slay's also shown multiple times that he'll stay after practice to help teach the younger guys, and with Slay saying, I hope he takes my job, it doesn't sound like there's any animosity towards the younger DB coming in. But while Quinyon might not be able to save money on rent, there's one newcomer who won't have that problem in Jeremiah Trotter Jr., with the 21-year-old saying he plans to live at home so that he can save money and enjoy the comforts of home.
Dad!
What?
Can't go to sleep unless I get tucked in.
Okay, for real though, this is another one of those added benefits. Like, think about it. Here you have one of those built-in masters of the games in your dad, who's a legend and knows exactly what he's talking about. So after games, you can watch film, talk through breakdowns, and of course, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. said that's exactly what he expects to do. However, even with the name and legacy and all of that, Jr. said he's got a lot to prove.
We're different, and as far as how we play the game. And I just got to go out there and be me, use the tools that God blessed me with, and try to just use them to the best of my ability and try to be the best player I can be as like an individual. So I don't feel like there's any pressure to live up to like his legacy or anything. I don't feel like there's a weight on my back. I'm just trying to, get to work and just be the best I can be.
Jeremiah, a lot of people want to know if you want to wear number 54. It's open.
I definitely will ask them, if I can wear that. Hopefully they'll give it to me. That I really appreciate it.
Come on, even before he said that, you just knew he'd be wearing number 54. Like, it's only right to be passed down to Axeman Jr. And I'd say, judging by the engagement from the last jersey giveaway for Trotter Jr., that everyone's a little excited. By the way, we will have more of those, so stay tuned. But while we're talking about excitement, I think the best thing I've seen is the behind-the-scenes hype to land Cooper DeJean by trading up on night 2.
Rams are on the clock.
That's it.
That is it.
The Los Angeles Rams select Brandon Fisk, Florida State D tackle.
All right, 50, 53, 161 for 40, 78, and 150. All right, call down. Appreciate it.
How insane is it to have both Mitchell and DeJean? I mean, I know I've said this before, but it's just ridiculous that that happened. And sure, obviously I'm biased, but not only do multiple outlets grade Howie Roseman's draft as an A+, but ESPN gave Philly 2 of the top 12 picks in the draft for Quinyon and DeJean. Yet why stop there, since the All Access video shared that 2 of Howie's top guys on day 3 were Texas A&M receiver Anaya Smith and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., which obviously he landed both. Because like we all know very well at this point, once Howie Roseman sets his mind to something, he makes it happen. Heck, there's just so many examples at this point, but there's probably not a better case to be made than spending big money on running back like Saquon Barkley. Since, ultimately it's going to make everyone's lives easier, which is probably what had Jalen Hurts smiling so big during the team lift session, although let's be clear, or how he at least wanted to be with Pat McAfee, but this shouldn't have been as shocking of a move as it was to some.
Sometimes, you kind of try to get on the front end of things or at least kind of do something opposite. I've always felt like the league's a little bit of a bell curve, and if everyone's doing the same things in the middle, you're probably in that middle range, and you got to do things that maybe put you a little bit at risk, but also give you a chance to have that confetti fall on your head in the end. And obviously we got a long way to go to do that. But, where the running backs were, and these guys are touching the ball 300 times for your football team. They're not touching the ball. They're touching the ball more than anyone but your quarterback and your center, hopefully. And so they do have a huge impact. And, that goes back to with Coach Reed and Brian Westbrook, and then when I was the GM, LaShawn McCoy. And so it's not so out of left field for what our philosophy has been here since I've been here.
Look, I'm fine with that. Live on the outliers. I'd rather go down swinging and fighting than living in mediocrity like Dallas.
And that is Dallas.
Yep, and what's Philly is finding players who've never played football and turning them into Pro Bowlers. Or at least that's Stoutland University anyway. As class has been in session the last few days, especially for newly signed Aussie Laeken Vakalahi. After the 6'5", 318-pound former rugby player signed an undrafted free agent contract to enroll under Jeff Stoutland's tutelage. I mean, this sounds familiar, right? Former Australian rugby player, having never played American football, insane physical traits with undeniable athleticism and a strong work ethic. Like we already saw this work with current Eagles left tackle Jordan Mailata after ending up as the 7th round pick and turning into one of the best tackles in the game. So now, with the 21-year-old having nearly the same arm length along with 11-inch hands and an 83-inch wingspan, it's no wonder Stout wanted to take a flyer on Vakalahi. But the craziest part is how it even happened, with a friend of Eagles international scout Chris Naoli striking up a conversation with Vakalahi's dad and agreeing to an eventual tryout, where the Rook admitted the closest he's ever gotten to playing American football is Madden on Xbox. Although it's only been a free trial and he's always just played as the Packers. But hey, nobody's perfect. However, like I mentioned a second ago, this dude's athleticism was undeniable. I mean, immediately from the tryout, it was noticed, especially with him playing rugby and basketball. Plus, this past month, Vakalahi's been training with Baltimore Ravens 2022 4th-round pick Daniel Fahalele in Australia, which then eventually led to the Eagles signing the prospect from down under to the contract. Now, obviously, this thing's becoming a much more of the norm since teams are trying to do whatever they can to get the upper hand. Like even Kansas City signed rugby superstar Louis Rees-Zammit to a contract with the very same hope of a promising potential. But why not give it a shot, especially in the Eagles case, because you've seen it and done it before. By the way, it's also important to point out that Vakalahi qualifies for the international player roster exemption, which basically means he doesn't take a roster spot up for the Eagles, so that's huge considering the fact that he has a lot of potential, but he's not even qualified for the roster. So low risk, super high reward potential, and again, you've done this before with Mailata under a Jeff Stoutland, and it's a win-win-win, incredible move. All right, obviously I'm very clear about the fact that I love it, but curious how y'all feel about it. Because like I said, Stout can mold him into something special, plus he comes in with 0 bad habits. Oh yeah, and also Jordan Mailata can share so many extra secrets about attempting to make that transition into the NFL. So hopefully this turns into one of those home runs. However, either way, it was awesome to see Jordan Mailata and AJ Brown show up for the rookie minicamp to watch the prospects and give them some encouragement.
What was really cool in my mind was that AJ was out there today and that Jordan Mailata was out there today. AJ giving up coaching points. Jordan Mailata was, I got in here this morning. He was in here for the team meeting, and then he went to the O-line meeting this morning just to be there with those guys. I mean, that's special, right? That's a connection that these guys are willing to put that time in to be around our rookies, see what they're made of, and just be there for them. And so I'm excited for these guys to all get immersed into the culture, and it was cool to see our veterans do that today.
There you go. One of the many things that makes this team special. Of course, while we're still searching for a potential Lane Johnson replacement for when he presumably hangs him up in a few years, the idea of former first-round pick Mekhi Becton would be a dream if Stoutland's able to get him to play up to his potential. Although it's kind of strange because speculation has been heating up recently about a potential move to guard for the 25-year-old. However, another challenger could be Andrew DeCecco's favorite Eagles UDFA signing in Maryland's Gottlieb Ayeds. I'm sure I'm still not saying that correctly, but the former right tackle posted the 6th highest pass blocking grade among Big Ten tackles last year and definitely impressed at the Shrine Bowl as well as the NFL Combine. Yet there's another guy who's been gaining momentum on the O-line after the strong similarities to Jason Kelce, with that being NC State's Dylan McMahon, who was taken in the 6th round at pick 190 and has been described as undersized. For the record, almost identical to Kelce, who was taken in the 6th round at pick 191, to which of course they had to meet, and Jason didn't really deny some of the similarities.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I came in yesterday and I had to meet with Mr. Howie, and when I went into the weight room to meet him, Howie was in there working out, and Jason Kelce was in there with them, and he introduced me to Kelce right away, and that was a pretty crazy moment because, I mean, I've watched him since I was little playing football. He's the best center to ever do it, and just to meet him and have him around this building to be able to pick his brain every once in a while would just be an amazing experience.
What did you talk about?
First, he looked at me, he was like, undersized center. We have that in common, and just talked a little bit about football and the guys I'll be facing regularly in our division, and then just said, like, just make sure you're staying in the weight room, you can put good weight on you with your frame of your body. There's places to put weight on and good weight, that muscle, and just wish me good luck. And it was like I said, it was pretty surreal meeting him, and he just said he hopes to be able to help me out in any ways he can, so that'd be pretty cool. Just keep your head down and work hard and really buy into what Stout's doing here and buy into his coaching point and trust him. Then there's no floor, no ceiling that it's too high.
That offer from Kelce, how often do you think you're going to take him up on it?
I don't want to bug him. I would do it every day if I could. But, I mean, he's got his own stuff going around, and just he luckily gave me his number. So just if I ever have a question or anything, that I might just hit him up. And if he doesn't reply, because I know he's got a lot of stuff going on, then hopefully he will eventually. But as much as I can without bugging him, for sure.
Literally, not a better person to look up to. At the same time, I'm not saying this, and I don't think anyone is, but just because McMahon's one of the most athletic centers to come out of the draft since Kelce, and showcasing a unique ability to use leverage and quickness to beat stronger, more dominant D linemen, doesn't mean he's going to replace Jason.
It would be disingenuous to even pretend like we're going to replace Jason Kelce, the person and the player. I mean, this is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Both on and off the field. And so, I think for us, we got to just, we got to continue to build the team. It's the ultimate team game, to understand that he's a huge loss. Fletcher Cox is a huge loss for our organization, our football team. The only thing we could do is we tried to get our young guys around them as much as possible so that they can absorb it, so they could see what amazing players and people they were, but also that it doesn't come easy in this league to be great at whatever job you have, that you have to work at it, that those guys were our hardest workers. They had an unbelievable love of the game. They had an unbelievable love of this team and this city. And I feel like, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here today without Jason Kelce, and I'm including Fletch too, because obviously we lost him as well.
Also, staying on the topic of center real quick, Cam Jurgens is going to be the center, and he's going to be really good. Remember, Kelce handpicked him as the replacement for a reason. But sure, not a bad thing to have added depth with McMahon just in case he goes down. Anyway, let's move on. Another player to mention that I want to throw out there and just keep an eye on is cornerback Sean Stevens, which in case you're not as familiar with him, you probably should be, since Pro Football Network's Anthony DeBona has a pretty strong feeling that he would be getting one of the 2 remaining roster spots. And ESPN's Tim McMahon has shared he's been having a strong camp after running a sub 4.4 before the draft and had 8 interceptions along with a 100-yard kick return last season. Of course, that was in Division II with Ferris State, so take that for what you will, but he is the cousin of Joey Porter Jr. I don't know if that means anything either, but I'm just trying to read the tea leaves and what I'm hearing. Anyway, the other bit of news is that the NFL schedule will be dropping on May 9th, and you better believe I'm going to be looking at which games to go to as soon as it drops. But y'all go ahead and let me know how many primetime games you think the Eagles are going to get, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. This has been the Philly Special.